to every member here, to those who loved and toiled and strove for thee in other years. I give full honor and revere our noble brothers here. I give full honor and revere our noble brothers here. When all our students' days are done, and we from school must go, still we will honor, love, and sing thy praises o'er and o'er. We will live for thee, will strive for thee, will all our ways adore. Will long for thee and soar until we reach that golden shore. We'll long for thee and toil until we reach that golden shore.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Edward Bullock, and I greet you in the name of the Trenton Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I am a 50-year member, and it is my pleasure to provide an interview with our good brother Samuel Floyd. We're going to do this in 3 parts. Part 1 will be the early years. Part 2 will be the Crimson and Cream years. And Part 3 will be the Kappa White Jacket years. Stay tuned and listen. Thank you.
I said, hand me down my Kappa cane. I said, hand me down my Kappa cane. I'm gonna take a stroll one day down Kappa Lane. Tell about the colors we all wear, that crimson and cream. Whoa, yeah. I said we all wear that crimson and cream. I said we all wear. I said we all wear that crimson and cream. I'm gonna take a stroll one day down Kappa Lane. I said, hand me down my Kappa cane. I'm gonna take a stroll one day down Kappa Lane.
Oh, that was beautiful.
Wasn't that?
Wasn't that beautiful?
That's nice. Yes,
Now,
sir.
does that take you back or what?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's all brotherhood. That's it.
That's true. Yeah.
That's it. Yes, sir.
We're here interviewing Brother Sam Floyd. Brother Floyd is a good friend and a fraternity brother of the Trenton Alumni Chapter of Kappa Alpha Psi. And today he has agreed to be interviewed on this special occasion as we celebrate and continue to celebrate his 75 years in the fraternity. So why don't we get started asking him a few questions. We've divided this into 3 sections. This first section we're calling the early years. And we're going to talk about growing up and his background a little bit. That's going to be in what we're calling part 1. Then we're going to move to part 2. And part 2 we're calling the Crimson and Cream years. Those were the years in which he became a Kappa, and the long period of time in which he really blossomed in the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. And then we're going to talk about part 3. Part 3 we're calling the white jacket period. Let me say that again. The white jacket period. There are very few brothers that reach the white jacket period. You've got to be a Kappa brother for at least 50 years in order to get that prestigious white jacket. And that will be the culmination and the last series. So why don't we get started with series 1. Are you ready, Brother Floyd?
I'm ready.
All right.
I'm gonna take a stroll one day down Kappa.
So now as we talk about the early years, it might be important for you to share with us some of your early years, your growing up, who your parents were, and some of your siblings. So tell us about your early years, Brother Floyd.
Well, I was born in Trenton, New Jersey, and my parents were Mr. and Mrs. Floyd, John Floyd, and Adeline Floyd. They had 3 youngsters before any of us lived at that particular time because of the different endemics that were going around. They had 2 girls and 1 boy. 2 girls were Adeline and Dorothy, and I had another brother named John after his father. And I had a sister named Mary. She was born under me, and I had 1 born just above me, Daisy. So actually it was 4 of us, I can recall, that we grew up until Mary passed when she was 14 years of age.
So Brother Floyd, what was it like growing up?
Well, it wasn't that bad because we had parents who taught us how to survive as youngsters. My dad was a laborer. He worked in a factory.
I said we always.
And my mother, she was just a home wife. She took care of the house and raised us kids.
One day down Kappa. I said we.
But it was interesting. We shared whatever we had, we shared. In fact, my dad would always have my mother keep a pot on the stove for any hungry person who came in the neighborhood.
Yes.
And that kind of aggravated Mom a little bit, but she still did it.
And what was your fondest childhood memory, Brother?
Well, I think it was when I got my bicycle. I was shining shoes at the time, and when the weather broke, it got cold, my mother talked to my dad, because my dad didn't have the money to pay for or buy a bicycle for me, but she told him, John, you're going to have to find a way to finish paying for that bicycle. I'm not going to have that young man going out there getting on his knees, shining shoes to pay for that bicycle. So that bicycle was my pride and joy.
Let's talk about your schooling. What school did you attend?
Well, the first school, elementary school we attended, was, oddly enough, an integrated school. And when we finished elementary school, we went to New Lincoln School, which was all black, segregated. And we had some very, very interesting and devoted teachers, and also a very devoted principal who happened to have graduated from the University of Indiana. But he didn't make Kappas at that time. He wanted to come into the alumni set. To make a long story short, there was about, I would say, out of the 852 students that graduated in my class, there was about, I guess, about 5% of us black.
Wow. Brother Floyd, who was the most influential person that you can remember as you were growing up?
I would say the guidance counselor in junior high school, Bessie Nelms Hill. She had influence on a lot of the students.
And do you recall now, looking back, what you wanted to be when you were growing up?
Well, I had hopes of being a lawyer, but I also admired Paul Robeson. And I thought I'd be a good actor someday.
Yes, if I recall, you were quite a thespian. Not only could you act, but you could also sing, perform. You acted in a number of plays. As a matter of fact, I recall that you acted in a group called the Players Company of Trenton, which was the first black theater company in the state of New Jersey. As a matter of fact, if I recall correctly, you starred in A Raisin in the Sun. Is that correct?
Yes, I did. And I got some fairly decent write-ups, too. Yeah, Raisin in the Sun, No Place to Be Somebody, What the Wine Cellar Buys.
Yes, and you remember to this day.
Well, yeah, some of them.
Were there any major inventions that came along that you can recall that were significant for you?
Well, the one that comes to my mind, first of all, is the television.
The television?
The television. Because back then we just had the radio and the Victrola.
Now was that a black and white television, I would imagine?
That was a black and white television. I think the screen was about 12 inches, 12-inch screen. But that was it. We were fortunate enough to have the radio in our house, and we kind of spent our time with that, my brother Jim and I. Both of us became young jazz buffs at an early age, because there's one station that came on, WNEW, with the disc jockey Martin Block, and every Saturday night they would have jazz in Harlem, Saturday night in Harlem, which played all the black orchestras and soloists. So we just loved that, and we ended up on West 52nd Street, New York, to the three towers in. But we would go hear some of the jazz joints.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the other night I was watching Stormy Weather.
Oh, okay.
With Lena Horne.
All right, that's going
and that
back.
certainly takes us back a few years as well.
Oh, yeah. Because we used to meet Billie Holiday. She'd be walking up down West 52nd Street.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So my last question in this series, what might people not know about you that might be of interest?
Well, I think a lot of people look at me as the happy-go-lucky young man, but there are some serious parts about me.
Yes.
I mean, I can have fun. When I was working in the field of education, I would have my good times with them. I'd make them laugh, but there were also serious times.
Yes.
But the main thing was preparing them for life as adults.
Sure.
And that was one serious sport that they know Mr. Floyd didn't play with.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if I recall correctly, there are some favorite Kappa songs that you also might know. What was your favorite Kappa song?
My favorite Kappa song was then and always will be the Kappa hymn.
The Kappa hymn.
Yes, sir.
I
Buddy.
think we might be able to play the Kappa hymn for you. What do you think? Would you like to hear that?
That would be great. Yes, sir.
Okay,
buddy.
can we hear the Kappa hymn?
Yep.
Alexa, play the Kappa hymn. You ready? For helping us to understand your early years. And we're going to now move in our next segment into what we're going to call the Crimson and Cream years,
All right.
which will mostly focus on your college years and what happened right after college. So thank you so much for this, our first in a three-part series in which we focused on the early years.
I said, hand me down my Kappa king. I said,
And now we're going to talk about the Crimson and Cream years. This is part 2 in our series with our good brother Sam Floyd. So, Brother Floyd, what inspired you to join Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. My brother Jim did. Jim had been the polemarch of Thought Chapter in West Virginia State. And I had received a scholarship to go to Wesleyan University up in Middletown, Connecticut. But Jim came home and told me about the fraternity and told me about them pretty women down there in West Virginia State. I decided to go to West Virginia State and become a Kappa.
And we're so thankful that you made that decision, influenced by your big brother as well. Brother Floyd, how many brothers were on your line?
If I recall, Brother Bullock, there were 6 of us. Yes, there were 6 of us online.
And did any of them go on to any levels of prominence after graduating from the university?
Well, the majority of them went into education, the others went into law.
And is there a particular brother or brothers that stand out that you can recall?
Well, at that time, you mean as members of the Thought Chapter?
Yes.
Well, the polemarch at the time was Tommy Jenkins, and he was a scholar, and a brilliant young man. And I think he went into law, if I'm not mistaken.
Your brother was certainly a major influence on your life, but I understand that you had an opportunity to meet one of the founders of our fraternity. Could you tell us about that, and who was that founder?
The founder was Brother Armstrong.
Ah.
And I had the pleasure of meeting him at a grand chapter meeting. It was just held in Philadelphia. Jim and I used to make most of the grand chapter meetings, but after he became ill, we kind of, cut him out.
Very good. We just have a few more questions for you.
Go right ahead.
As you think about your experiences in Kappa Alpha Psi, you share with us some of the memories. What do you feel has significantly changed since you joined the fraternity and now in terms of the intake service that we provide versus pledging when you came into the fraternity?
Well, one of the biggest changes for the better was the intake program now, aside from the scroll of pledging with the hazing, which I thought was ridiculous at the time. And I really caught it because my brother was a polemarch at Thought Chapter. When I went in, just about every brother there came in under my brother Jim. So I got the brunt end of it. Yes, I think more so the intake program, better than the hazing. That should be done away completely.
So what are some of the memories you have over the last 75 years of being a member of this grand fraternity? Certainly you've led us in song. You've certainly led us in the fraternity for many years. What are some of your fondest memories of being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity?
Well, one of the best memories that I have is having the pleasure of meeting good Kappa men. And there's 2 of them here this evening. And that's Brother Long, Brother Crossman, and also you, Brother Block.
Thank you. Thank you.
I don't want to tell the things that we went through, the things that we've done in the past, but you've been a good brother to me as well.
Well, it's been an honor for all of us, and my son Eric Bullock is here as well, who is also a Kappa and continues the legacy, and we're glad to have him here with some help from some other brothers handling the videotaping of this particular episode. So this completes episode 2 that we're calling the Crimson and Cream series, that part, which tells us about the early life of Brother Floyd as he became a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity. And now we're going to prepare to move into the 3rd part, which we're calling the Crimson and Cream part that you just had. So now we're going to move into what we're going to call the White Jacket part. And the White Jacket stands for someone who's had 50 years, and Brother Floyd has had 75 years. So if you're ready, we're going to stroll into the white jacket part. Thank you. Welcome back to part 3 in our series with Brother Sam Floyd. This last series is entitled The White Jacket Part. And as you can see, Brother Floyd has on his beautiful white jacket. Brother Floyd, tell us what those 3 pins mean that adorn your jacket, please. We want to know.
Well, the top pin certainly is the life membership of Kappa Alpha Psi. The second one is a picture of Reverend Elder Watson Diggs, one of the founders of the National Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity at the University of Indiana. And the bottom one is my 50-year term as a Kappa, and I've been active all my 75 years since I was made a Kappa.
Thank you for that. And certainly one thing that we share is that we both have 50-year pins, and I look forward to the Lord bless me so to put in another 25 years in Kappa Alpha Psi.
Excellent, excellent.
Brother Floyd, this is our last episode. You've got on your white jacket, which represents 50 years. And of course, you've now got over 75 years in the fraternity. So in this, our last episode, as we conclude, we want to ask you just a few more questions, if you don't mind.
No, go right ahead, Brother Bullock.
So what inspired you to join Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated?
Well, really, it was my brother, Jim. He was Paulmark of the Todd chapter down at West Virginia State. And he convinced me to go to West Virginia State because a lot of the physical burden was going to be on him with his job. He was paying my tuition and room and board at West Virginia State. So I couldn't disappoint him by going into any other fraternity.
Mm-hmm. So what role did Kappa Alpha Psi play in your preparation for your professional life?
Well, being a member of Kappa Alpha Psi and the brothers were quite inspirational to me because the main theme behind Kappas is achievement. And I loved Kappa men because majority of them, and if not all of them, believe in that word achievement.
So, Brother Floyd, did you have any struggles in your professional life that might be of interest to us?
Well, actually, I started out as a nightclub entertainer, as an MC, and when I got married, I had to think more seriously about raising that family, and they were going to cost me some money. So I figured I had to get into a field that would guarantee me a salary. And that's when I went into education. I did a little nightclub work on the site too, but I started education, which I spent 35 years in, right here in Lawrence Township, where I built my house.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Brother Floyd, share with us, how would you describe an ideal Kappa?
An ideal Kappa man is one who loves his brothers and makes an honest attempt and effort to achieve. That's a good Kappa man. Achievement.
Achievement. Thank you. And could you define the roles of Kappas as you see it going forward into the next century?
Yes, when I think about people like Brother Bradley, in the political world, think about the athletes, Wilt Chamberlain, Robinson, Talaferro, Mel Grooms from Trenton, who was the first black who was a member of my class in high school and junior high, was the first black to play with the Detroit Lions. So I think basically in every field there's a Kappa. In every field, I think there's a Kappa who stands out I don't think you can call any field in law who was the greatest. Well, the lawyer who defended, what's his name?
Simpson.
Well, I can't think of his name now.
My Johnny Kappa.
He's a Kappa.
That's right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So when you think about it, the actors,
Mm-hmm.
in every field
Of human endeavor.
there's a Kappa.
So as we talk about Kappas, you are now in the group that we call Senior Kappas. What do you see as the role of Senior Kappas in the fraternity?
Inspiring the younger brothers, having them believe in that term achievement, and having them know that you don't give up. You follow your heart, whatever it tells you, and have good faith in the good Lord.
Do you believe that the fraternity is carrying out the vision of the founders today?
Yes, I do. And I think in a greater sense, I think in the earlier years, most of it, a lot was just the fraternity, the partying, and what have you. But today, the Kappas are all business, and they do the partying afterwards.
Do you feel that there are some pros and cons that the fraternity needs to address going forward?
Well, I think the cons, well, we're working on that now, I know, because we have these, some brothers who believe in this hazing, which I think is outrageous. But we've gotten away from all that mostly. That's one thing I think we should get rid of if it hasn't been done in some chapters. And that's undergraduate chapters. I don't think we have that in alumni chapters.
Mm-hmm. So just a few more questions, Brother Floyd, if you don't mind. What are your aspirations for the fraternity as a whole and the Trenton Alumni Chapter specifically as we move forward into the next generation?
To participate more in world affairs. And I think we have the minds within our fraternity, our men, to contribute more to the world, not just to Kappas, not just to the United States, but to the world.
And are there some issues that you feel the Grand Chapter should take a look at as we move forward?
Make sure that all of that hazing is eliminated from allowing or getting members in the Kappa Alpha side. That's one of the biggest things. And I think they've done an excellent job so far.
And our last question, Brother Floyd, and this is one that we all would like to hear from you. You've now been a member of Kappa for so many years. What words would you like to leave us with as we now complete the third in our series of interviews with you? We've been so nice to have you, and you've been so gracious to invite us into your home and to share with us your memories and your experiences. What are some last words that you want to share with us and those many hundreds of brothers who will be listening to this episode in this series?
You mentioned my age. Well, I would suggest that if you're not incapacitated, if you're not seriously ill, remain active in Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, because there's nothing like being with good brothers at meetings, grand chapter meetings, local meetings. It really doesn't make that much difference. But there's a certain feeling that you get when you are with your brothers.
And on that note, this completes our series of meetings with Brother Sam Floyd. Thank you for listening.
I was once a blessing in search of my King. It wouldn't be safe to walk if I were a fire. let my son go Alpha. A dying mother said, don't let my son go Caesar. I'd rather see him dead. I want to be